You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Kevin Daniels.
How's it going, everybody?
Kevin, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally?
My name is Kevin Daniels, obviously, as you've stated. I used to have a podcast with a buddy that has kind of halted to a stop. We used to post every week, and I got really big into social media. And then I eventually started an Instagram called Fantasy Quest Board, where I just started posting Dungeons and Dragons related quests every day. And I've done that for almost over a year and a half now. And it's kind of growing to the point where I like it. And I'm being patient with it and like working on it every single day and trying to consistently post on it. Currently, professionally, what I do is I work for a flavoring company and I am a quality technical assistant.
A flavoring company. So are we talking about like artificial flavored drinks?
Yes, everything. So the company I work for actually has made the formula for Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola doesn't even know the exact formula. Like my company does.
What's up with New Coke? Why did they change your recipe? It's like you look at Colonel Sanders, you're like, Colonel ain't fucking with the original recipe.
Right, he keeps it the same. That way it's consistent. I don't know. That's a good question for like the pop companies, is that they constantly are changing and trying to come up with a new flavor. They'll come up with something that's temporary, and if it actually does well, they'll keep coming out with it even though.
Now, learning stuff about like getting into this job, like when it comes to flavoring drinks, have you learned anything that you find interesting?
Not every single flavor is supposed to taste good. Some
I mean,
flavors,
cherry medicine tastes like liquid ass, so I get it.
yes, it sure does. Well, some things like they'll add a small amount of a bitter flavor to bring out the sweetness in a drink. So
Mhm. Now, is it just drink related, or do you mean flavoring food wise as well?
flavoring everything. We do a lot of stuff for Chick-fil-A too.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Um,
What about Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A is amazing. I can talk crap about Monster, Red Bull, Bang, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, but
Please
Chick-fil-A is
do.
pretty great.
Please tell me a little bit about Monster because I mean I drink energy drinks, so
Monster doesn't have like facilities of their own. Monster co-manufactures everything that they make through other companies. So Monster doesn't have, it has like a headquarters, but their headquarters is an office. And for their flavoring and stuff, they actually send it out to these mom and pop shops and tell them, here's all the flavoring that you need, here's the cans you need, put them in your machines and give them back to us so we can sell them. That way they don't have like the overhead of owning facilities and stuff like that. It's weirdly set up, but it works for them because obviously they're making a ton of money.
seems like they're cutting some corners.
Most places do.
Now, when it comes to like how'd you get interested in at least getting upon this just fall upon your desk or something, or did
I
you just
recently moved to Cincinnati with my wife. My wife is a doctor. My wife just started her um, doctor career, actually finishing medical school and starting her career. She got a job at Cincinnati Children's. And so when I moved down here, I don't have a degree or anything like that. Um, I was just reaching out and emailing all these different companies asking for a job and asked me to work for them. So
I think it gets crazy when you start looking at the flavor profile of things, how things can taste sweet, things can taste sour, things can taste like hot. And you start looking into like where kids are developing like maybe allergic reactions to red dye number two, blue dye, and all
right.
these different things. I never fully understood. I mean, a lot of that gets, if you look at any type of ingredients in any of your drinks, such as like
Mhm.
diet soda, anything, people think I'm getting the healthiest option. Well, they got that one thing in there is aspartame that is like supposed to be really, really bad for you, but it's supposed to be part of like a diet drink. It's
Right.
like artificial sugar. I mean, if you start drinking a lot of artificially sugared stuff, and I'm at fault for doing it myself too, but when you drink a
I
lot of
do it as well.
yeah, when you drink a lot of like artificially stuff like flavored sweeteners such as Splenda and stuff, it creates what's called fake sugar, and then your body doesn't really know how to kind of
Right.
process it.
And because
Process.
it's so new, we don't really understand the science of what it does to our body. There's like a I don't know what percentage of it. It's like a small percentage. It's like 5 to 15% of aspartame or whatever fake sugars you're are ingesting. They don't know where it's going. Scientists can't figure out, like, it just disappears, and they don't know if like your body's absorbing it in a certain way or like, but they can't. It's so new that they don't know what it's doing.
How hard is it like learning all these kind of stuffs and being involved in the just the flavor profile of a lot of the drinks and a lot of the things that you can get from the store today? Does it affect any of your grocery shopping?
It makes me think about it a lot more, but no, I actually do drink sugar-free, zero-calorie Monster every once in a while. Like if I'm really tired, sometimes my wife will be working thirds, and I'll stay up late just so that I could see her, or I'll get up early and I'll be extra tired, so I'll just drink a Monster. And it really doesn't affect. I do think about it more, but honestly, I do taste all these different flavors from whatever, and I know that it's not necessarily healthy for my body, but like,
Well,
I
hey,
mean,
my
so is a lot
buddy
of
works
things.
for Coca-Cola. I see him practically every morning at like 4 a.m. at Walmart. And he's like, Rob, what are you doing here? Picking up cream soda. And they have great value diet cream soda from like Walmart, which I
Hmm,
drink religiously because it has 100 grams of potassium in it. I'm like, how the hell does this thing have 100 grams of potassium?
right.
And like, it's the best thing. If you ever need to shit, that's like eating 3 bananas right there. It's an amazing drink. But it's funny because
Good to know.
he works for Coke, and like I start asking him a lot of stuff about Coke, and like his name tag on his shirt says, "Hello, my name is Coke."
Oh, that's fun.
Like they don't let him use his real
That's
name. They just call all their employees Coke. There's no like nothing. It's that I
you know
was like,
what I hate more than companies not caring about employees enough to not do that is when I see somebody at a store and I'm wearing a name tag and they say, "Hey, Kevin," and they're clearly looking at my name tag, don't know me whatsoever, but they want to pretend that they know me. And it's just like that level of fakeness. And I understand that some people like having others call them by their name, but like, yeah, do you know me? You don't really know me.
"Do you
Like,
know the
I've
real
never
Kevin?
introduced the real Kevin.
The real Kevin?" That's what you got to ask him. Do you know the real
Right.
Kevin? Or are you just looking at the store bought Kevin? See,
Do
that's
do
what
you
I
fuck with Kevin? Do you
Did
really fuck
do
with
you
Kevin?
do you really fucking know Kevin? I don't think you know Kevin. Well, see, that's why I have you on the podcast, Kevin. I wanna know a little bit about you, man. So, like, now if we could talk about the flavor profile of drinks and, like, where it all kind of leads to. I mean, does this all kind of correlate? Because I know there's a lot of people that are like, the FDA regulates a lot of
Oh
things,
yeah.
but when it comes to the flavor profiling and things, it seems like we have a bunch of artificial sweeteners that people put in their coffees and all over the place
Mhm.
that nobody ever wants their drink to really taste natural. I mean, if you've ever
Right.
had like a natural energy drink compared to a Monster,
They're
there's a
gross. They're
big
chalky.
yeah, there's a big difference. It tastes like you're eating like soy or something out of a can.
Mhm. Fun thing about that is that I actually sign up for these tasting events from our R&D department, and they actually give you like little tokens that you could turn in for like gift cards and stuff for doing it. So it's a big incentive to do it. The other day I did in what type of milk was that? It's like a oat flavored milk. So milk made from oats. And I went in thinking, oh, this is gonna be so gross. And they bring out this tray and it's got 6 small samples on it. And normally they give you one of these tokens, and each one basically is $1. And for this one, they gave us 3. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to taste the most disgusting oat milk I've ever had in my life. 5 out of the 6 tasted like straight up like you just finished a bowl of oatmeal and it had a little bit of milk left in it and you drank it. It was actually extremely delicious, but one of them did taste like a chicken coop. That's the
Oh
closest thing I
man.
could compare it to. Sometimes you get some pretty gnarly stuff.
What types of flavors have you like have they really disguised or that you've tasted that really wasn't like you never thought it could taste like that? Like I remember
That oat milk.
the oat
That's
milk.
the only thing.
I think, like, with a lot like, if you look at, like, there's, like they have almond milk, I'm like, "Well," it's just like the Netflix, The Ranch, where he's like, "Show me the tit on an almond." I was like, "That's
Right?
right." Like,
I'll
how
milk it.
how artificially flavored is that? And they put drops in so many things to make it not taste like that. Like I use egg
Mhm.
whites in the morning. So egg whites are supposed to be pretty bland tasting. I mean, it's supposed to kind of taste like egg, but it's not supposed to be like the best tasting thing. They have
Right.
a Southwest style egg whites. It tastes like you're eating a like jalapeno omelet. I'm like, they added something into this that makes
Right.
it
So
taste like that.
something's not natural.
Yeah, this did
A
not
lot
come
of,
out of an egg.
it's actually that's something I have learned from working there is that a lot of the stuff that you're eating, like they do this veal flavoring and not a single cow, no bit of cow is in it. It's like chicken that's been altered with all these different types of chemicals to taste like veal. And comparable, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless you were like an experienced flavorist, which people go to college just to be, which is insane to me.
Now, when you're talking about like flavoring different things, now does this correlate anything with GMOs as well?
Yeah, GMOs are part of it. So a lot of flavorings, if a company doesn't want GMOs, they would reach out to a regulatory department and they would tell them what they would give them a certificate that the regulatory department signs saying this does not have GMOs in it. Or if it does have GMOs, they would state this has GMOs in it. But a lot of the times, if a company is reaching out for an ingredient, they're going to clarify that it doesn't have GMOs before they actually purchase it.
Now, how big is the difference between naturally flavored and then flavored drinks? Like just regular flavored? Is it just because they
Natural,
use natural ingredients towards it? But I
yeah,
can't see how
exactly.
many natural ingredients you could put in it. Like I know Monster puts in green tea extract, which is the reason why they always go, "Oh, it helps." Monster can help you lose weight because the caffeine. It's like because you guys are shoving a small amount of green tea extract and then saying that it's going to help lose weight when really it
Right.
honestly doesn't do that much.
It's dependent on the thing, 100%. Uh, I can state that most things are just completely a bunch of chemicals thrown together in a vat and mixed for hours at a time so that they break down.
Now, a little bit about fast food though, like how much of fast food like do you know about that is artificially flavored? I feel like a lot of it is.
So I can't state much for the fast food companies because most of what they buy are like the flavorings that go in their seasonings or in their like special sauces that they make. A lot of times they're just mayonnaise and ketchup and like just random normal ingredients that you would have in your fridge mixed together, but they have the perfect combination of them. So it seems like it's something different.
I feel like sometimes like I get a sweet tea and I'm like, this sweet tea just gave me diabetes. It's a little bit too sweet.
Diabetes.
And then like if you are getting like a soft drink at like a restaurant, sometimes their flavoring gets mixed up. So you when you go and get like a glass of it, it tastes like it's like I don't even know, like it's expired. You're like, this Coke
Yeah.
tastes flat. And they're like,
Oh,
oh, well, the flavoring's not in there.
from tasting so many things and having to learn like how to tell the difference and all that, I recently went to a brewery. It was like a brand new brewery. They just opened up like a month prior. I'm drinking their beer and I'm like, wow, I could taste the water is dirty. Like I can tell that the water they used to make this was not very well filtered.
Would you say that this has enhanced your taste buds or made them maybe dulled
It's
them a little
just
bit?
probably dulled them. It's just brought to light like the differences. Like I'm more aware. Like I've always been able to taste very good, probably worse now because I've tasted so many things and effed up my olfactories. But yeah, I'm more aware now than I ever was. And by no means am I good at it. I think I've been doing the job for 6 months.
I'm telling
So
you, I ruined my taste buds when I was like 15 years old. What I did was I had a challenge. I bought those 100 packs of Warheads, like the little sour candies.
oh, I love
And
those.
my buddy's like, I'm gonna put 20 of these in my mouth. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll do 25. And then I did it and I ripped all the inner lining of my mouth,
oh, that sucks.
like when you get like it's like a cut and like the skin comes off
Right.
a little bit. My whole mouth and my tongue was all shredded and swollen, and I couldn't
Oh
taste
goodness.
anything for a couple days. Dude, half the time I eat stuff now, I'm just like whatever. I'm just like dumping cayenne pepper, something so strong to
Right.
get that flavor out of it, dude.
I put hot sauce on probably every single uh, heated up food. I don't know, not heated up
Are we
because
talking
like
about
I get it hot.
Tabasco? Or are we talking about sriracha? I dump
Sriracha, Tabasco, Valentina, Red Hot.
I dump they have the show Hot Ones where they have
Oh,
the
I
little
love hot
sauces.
ones.
My buddy ordered the hottest one called the Last Dab. Dude, I was drinking
I
it like
want to
it
try
was
that.
I was drinking it like it was
What?
water. Dude, I was dumping it all over everything. It was I can handle hot stuff pretty well. He was like doing a spoonful and was like, I can't,
Clearly.
and like crying, and I'm like just dumping it all over my salad and stuff. The only part that hurt was when I went to take a shit.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
That was bad. That was one of
I
those
could
moments
see
where
that.
you're like, "Somebody kill me. This is it. I don't wanna live anymore. Like, this
Did
is
you see
worse."
the episode where Gary Vaynerchuk was on?
Yeah.
Oh my God, he killed it.
I'm
He
tell
just ate every single piece of every single wing.
the best one I've seen is with, Chef Ramsay, where he ended up doing
Oh, he
shots of
actually shit himself.
Pepto-Bismol. Dude, that's
He
crazy.
complained that he shit himself.
I mean, it's that show has a good concept to it too. I definitely think that it's fun to try hot stuff. It's fun to taste different flavors, man, for sure. I think when it comes to like how crazy people's taste buds can range and the fact that we've been able to manufacture ways to kind of enhance or maybe even capture certain flavors that aren't supposed to taste like what they are. Like they can make a banana taste like a pear, they can make an apple taste like an orange. They
Right.
can do so much crazy stuff. Like what have you kind of come across that you've seen has been the biggest, I guess, change or just something out of like out of a movie?
Something that I want to do that I haven't done is, you know, those berries where you eat them and they make like salty things taste sweet.
Yeah.
I want to try one of those. I've never actually been able to do it. Um, Something that blew my mind was there was this stuff. I cannot remember what it's called. I know if I ever see it again, I will throw it across the room and avoid it. But it starts with like a Q, and it is the most bitter shit I've ever tasted in my life. So I open the container that it's in. It's in a powder form, and literally by smelling it, the back of my mouth could taste the bitter
Ugh.
sensations.
Ugh.
And so normally with an ingredient to kind of make every single sample that you taste similar, you do a 1 to 100 mixture, so gram wise. So you would do uh, 1 gram of whatever flavoring you're doing, and then 99 grams of distilled water. Mix it up really well, and then that's what you're tasting to make sure that the flavor is still good. And in this case, we did 0.001 grams and 99.999 grams of water. And it still, as soon as I drank it, I all I could taste was just bitter from the back of my mouth to the front of my mouth. And it was like that for days. Like 2 days later, I still had that bitter taste in my mouth. That's how strong it was.
Yeah, I know with fortune cookies, like they're supposed to be blank in flavor for the specific reason that it's actually a palate cleanser. So you're supposed to actually eat that before or after a meal, like between like an appetizer or something, so it doesn't mess with the original. But people save it for the ending. I'm like, then you don't get the beautiful like candy taste in your mouth from all that sweet and sour sauce that's in there.
I'm so what is that? Superstitious that my wife is weird too. She when she gets the fortune on the fortune cookie, she can't break the fortune cookie or it won't come true, right? So she'll take a fork and she'll be digging up the little fortune, and then she'll get it out and then she'll eat the cookie. Me, I just crush it open, take it, read it. No, that's not even a freaking fortune. And then I always eat a tiny little bit. Like I take like the small stuff because I don't actually like fortune cookies.
Yeah,
I know that I have to like
yeah, you gotta at
eh,
least ingest a little bit of the cookie if you're gonna break it. I usually just,
right.
like, once they drop them off at the table, my cousin tries to like, if I go eat Chinese food with him, he'll try and grab it before I do because what I'll do, I'll smash it right in the wrapper before it gets out so everyone's fortune cookie can just read it. Everyone's like, "But it's the whole thing, like opening up a present and cracking the cookie and seeing your fortune." I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna tell me that somebody stuck in a fortune, cookie factory, send help, and my winning lucky numbers are 23, 42, 56, 58." So now we could talk about flavors all day, but now where does it fall in? Like you said, you were a podcaster before. So what did you originally podcast about?
So me and my buddy started a podcast about programming languages, because we were both learning programming at the time. And we both kind of fell out of it and fell into other passions, which like a lot of people do. And as much as I loved programming, like I just couldn't, I didn't connect with it as much as I wanted to. Now I still use it. Like I make Excel documents all the time, and I'll go in and add some macros and stuff. And it's extremely helpful now that I have this programming knowledge. Like I don't regret it whatsoever. But when we started it, we did it to just kind of coach ourselves through it. And then both of us kind of fell out of that, and we turned it into just a kind of us chit chatting with each other every week podcast. And he actually started up a business called I Edit Podcasts, where he actually has people reach out to him who want to purchase his podcast, or not purchase his, get their
His
podcast
resources
edited.
to be able to edit the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. And he's actually doing pretty well on that. And because he's so busy with that, we kind of just pushed to the side and decided like when we pick it back up, we'll pick it back up.
And this is where you dived off into the fantasy quest board.
Yeah, yep. And basically spend all my free time just trying to think of new things to post either on my story, on my thing. I've been working on my Twitter. It's not the best right now, but it is growing.
But
But once again,
what is the fantasy quest board? It seems like I was clicking on it. There were quest ideas for people that were
yeah,
playing like Dungeons and Dragons.
right, correct. So one of the hardest things to do as a dungeon master is your players can literally do whatever they want, and sometimes you'll get sidetracked and you'll have like this giant great quest planned out, and the players just go a completely different direction. And and sometimes you'll blink as a dungeon master and not know what to do. So basically what the quest board is that like you go on it and you look at a quest that you like, or you can save quests that you like and have it as reference. So if you ever want to like throw something together real quick, they're like quick prompts that can give you like an idea for like a 30 to an hour long session, 30-minute to an hour long session.
Now, do you think of these yourself? You don't just
I do,
find
yeah.
them out there somewhere? Now, you're very creative when it comes to probably thinking of quests and things of that sort.
I'm constantly thinking of new ones. I take a lot of inspiration from movies, video games, TV shows. I Whenever I do, I make sure to tell people. A lot of people will compare to like something I've never like. Recently, I posted a quest and somebody's like, "Oh, this is just like the story of Naruto," and I'm like, "I've never watched Naruto. Like I've seen an episode here and there, but uh, if you want to compare it to that, yeah, go ahead, because that gives you as a dungeon master more stuff to use. Like
Yeah.
that will inspire you more, and you're not ripping off a story because
Well, no,
every single story ever is just
you're not ripping off anything when you create these quests. What you're doing is you're taking bits and pieces from other things and crafting them into your own way as well. I mean, if you honestly think of if whoever made the word quest, for people that don't know, it's like a mission. It's like someone gives you an objective or whatever. But when it comes to quests, like I'm a big fan of like medieval games such as Oblivion and Skyrim and all those, and they're a mission, a task that you need to complete, but they can range on the level of difficulties as well. There can be some that can take hours long to complete, and there's some that can be like, oh, here's the quest, go to your fridge and start making dinner. That's like what, a 20-minute quest right there, because you got to do whatever. But like these are things that you can pull out of your everyday life. Like I think this is a valuable tool as well, because you're giving people creative inspiration to also be able to go free range with their own creativity off just your basic idea.
and that was the point of starting it. I just want to be able to help like the community. I want to be able to make sure that everybody, if they need it, it's there. Like it's just another resource. There are a bunch of Instagrams. Some will be like helping player creation, helping. They come up with magic items every day. It's the same thing except for a different concept.
Yeah, some people don't have that creative lock or whatever. They can just pull out of their head an
Right.
instant quest or do something. They need a little bit of inspiration from something, and that's where they can
Sometimes
look
you get
towards your
stumped.
page. Yeah. What's one of the most like how do you set it yourself up for a scenario, or do they just randomly pop into your head throughout the
They
day?
randomly pop in my head. It'll be 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll be at work or I'll be on my way to work, and I'll just think of one and I'll either write it down or I'll try to. There's so many quests that like they'll just pop in my head, and I'll be like, oh, I don't have my phone on me. I can't write it down. So I'll just try to remember it my best, and then they just go. And then like a week later, I'll be like, oh, I remember that quest and write that down. So it's really dependent on the moment. I probably think of like 3 or 4 a day.
Do you ever try and like someone ever ask you for one? Like maybe try and message you and be like, "Hey, can you create a quest for something?" And then have you ever seen it play out? Like, do you like to watch something unfold like that?
So yeah, I have people DM me all the time. Like I probably helped 6 or 7 people write entire campaigns. Like it's so great because it makes me feel good because I'm helping somebody talk it through. What they'll do is they'll just explain what's going on in their campaign and be like, oh, I'm stumped at what to do with this part. And I'll throw out like 3 or 4 ideas, and I don't care if you turn them down. I don't care if you don't use a single one of them. But my goal is to make it so that you can keep going, like so your players can continue to have fun.
I
Yeah.
like to make any task in my everyday life into a quest. I know that sounds a little bit
No,
ridiculous.
that's good. That's great.
Got a shit. That's a quest. And I get like 10,000 experience for that one. That's like
Leveled
that's
up in shitting.
that's enough to level me up for sure because usually afterwards I'm pretty drained to where that's the one quest of the day. Now, what like so if we were going to create a quest, me and you, how would we go about this? Because I feel like there needs to be a reward factor.
Right. So first thing you would do is decide what you want the quest to be. Do you want it to be a fetch quest? Do you want somebody to go get something? Do you want somebody to request you to go get something? Do you want to go get something? Is it a what are those called? Where you bring somebody from point A to point B? Um, I'm blanking. Anyway, if like you need to transport somebody somewhere, or if you need to transport a thing somewhere, or if there's uh, a certain area that you need to go to just so you can clear out monsters or just solve problems. First thing you need to do is kind of come up with a scenario where something bad is happening, where your players are needed. Um, so, does anything pop in your head as like a straight like what type of quest would you like to make?
I would like to make a quest that is low risk but high reward, such
Low risk, high
as
reward.
more like getting a sense of like you accomplish something, but not doing something that's going to be risking a life scenario.
I would call that a long-term quest because like you can't it's low risk, yes, but in order to earn that high reward, there has to be some sort of challenge.
Yes.
So the low risk is um, you might be a prince and you're all the way on the other side of the world and your father has died. And so for you to claim your throne, all you have to do is travel to your country and take your throne. But on the process of getting there, it might take a long time. And during that time, you might find that your father has made enemies with this other kingdom and they'll attack you out of the blue. Like they'll hunt you down, they'll have mercenaries hunting you. Or you might find that your father has wronged some people who are actually like this group of farmers who they needed resources and they weren't able to produce as much food as your father needed. So he just kind of stopped funding them with resources. And so because of that, they eventually drained down to the point where they're they've had to maybe do bad things to continue even living.
A lot of this strictly correlates to like if you look at like a firefighter, like their quest would be to if they have to put out a fire, they have to make sure they have to check for survivors.
Hmm.
And the risk factor is that they might actually lose their life. You know,
Right.
when you start looking at this, like you can take comparisons of this, like so many factors go into making a quest too, because you have to have a rising action, much like most movies do,
Hmm.
have a climax, and then have kind of like a falling action, and then you have to have obviously a resolution or conclusion to it as well.
Yeah, so you just made me think of a really great firefighting quest, which is that a fire has broken out in town, and your players are the first who could respond to it.
Oh
They could
shit.
choose they could choose to try to put out the fire. They could choose to go inside the house and save people. I've actually played out a fire scenario before in a campaign, and it actually turned out really cool because the one player was just completely reckless and rolled really, really good. So in Dungeons and Dragons, if anybody out there doesn't know, you actually roll a 20-sided dice, and dependent on if it's 1 to 20, the higher the number, the more likely your character is to succeed. And you have modifiers to change that. So if your person was trying to do a lot of like athletic stuff, if they have a higher strength, they're more likely to succeed. They'll get a bonus of plus 3 to 5 as an example. But he was actually rolling really well and was super heroic and saved these kids from this burning building, and the building just kind of collapsed around him, and he jumped out of the window and landed on top of one of the other players who was supposed to catch him. And it was just it's funny, it's all fake and it's in your mind, but in at that moment, that person who was playing that character felt like he actually just saved two
Yeah.
orphan children. Like,
Well, it gives back power to imagination and creativity where it seems like in this world it's lacking a little bit. Like
yeah,
there's a bunch of people that want to be creative and want to have something and start their own business or start their own podcast or band or something, but they never have the drive to go fully
they
on
don't have the
complete it.
patience for it. They
Yeah.
they start posting, and a week later, they only get 2 likes per post, and they're like, you know what, screw this, I'm done. Like, nothing's happening. But in reality, like, because of modern medicine, like, I'm 27. I'm freaking 28 now. Oh gosh. I'm gonna live till I'm probably 110, 120 if I'm lucky.
Fuck
And
that. I don't want to live that long.
right, exactly.
Maybe like
But because of modern
43.
medicine, like, you're gonna be like 90 and you're gonna be like, kill me, and they're gonna be like, no, you gotta take your meds because you're
Look,
stuck in a home.
I love my great grandfather to death, but even towards when he hit like 94, you could see that he was like, how long is this shit gonna go?
I saw some people talking about Google making it so that you could upload your consciousness into a system. Like, they actually have like a team of
That's
people
what we
working on that.
call existential. Well, actually, existential ism, and that's supposed to be like the movie Transcendence. There's
Hmm.
actually a bunch of people that actually monitor that to make sure that technology like doesn't get to that point. At least at the part we're at now.
Oh, Elon Musk fully, and
We
he wants it to.
cannot live for look, if I asked you if you would like to be immortal, what would you say? Yes or no?
I want to live till I'm 400, and
Okay,
then when I'm
that's a
400, I
decent
want to
age.
decide.
That's a decent age because the reason I always pull it out of the movie quote from The Last Witch Hunter where he was sitting on the park bench with Elijah Wood and he was like, Vin Diesel, that movie with him, and he was sitting
Yes.
there and he was like, I watched this city literally built upon lies and blood. I'm like, you literally watch your loved ones die. You have to keep making new families, keep doing this. You just get to watch everybody around you die as you never age. I'm like, you know how boring it would get after like 1,000
Right.
years? You would not want to live
You
forever.
would have to become friends with other transcended people, or like I'm sure you'd be connected to artificial intelligence in some way.
And if you
Like,
get connected to artificial intelligence, that just opens up a whole nother gateway for someone to hack your
mm,
brain. Then people are going to be
I
doing quests to hack yourself.
um I feel it's more like a you've transcended past the point where stuff like that even matters. Like, because the limitations of our brain will be just kind of tossed out. Like, we won't feel exhausted. We won't have to sleep. We won't. So we could just think about whatever we want all the time because our brains will be in a computer that, like, you might feel different about it. I don't know. You don't know. People who are working on it don't know because it hasn't happened yet. But I, because we'll be able to understand more deeply and more uh, vast things, and you'll have other artificial intelligences working together on other things that you'll be able to comprehend immediately because it'll be like the Matrix, where it's like, oh, I know kung fu.
I think the quest for humanity is trying to unplug from the technology a little bit. It seems like we're all facing like addiction with this thing. Like it's
Oh,
starting
it's
to
real bad.
creating a lot of emotional stress and anxiety throughout younger and younger kids nowadays. You're
Yeah,
seeing them with depression and all these types of things. So I'm like, technology is literally controlling our lives, making comfortability like way too
easier.
comfortable.
Hmm.
Like
I feel like eventually most of like labor wise jobs will be automatized by robots, and artificial intelligence is just kind of running it. And two things are going to happen. Robots are going to be programmed to make our lives as easy as possible. So, like, you could literally do whatever you want to do, and it doesn't matter.
it's gonna be
And
Wally. It's gonna be
well,
Wally.
where
We're
we're all
gonna
just fat and giant
800 pounds
hairs,
on floating beds. Amazon now sells you a bed that can literally sit up for you.
right?
So there's no uphill from there. It's all usually probably going downhill. I
Yeah,
talk about
just
like
depend on the person though.
a lot of it's gonna branch. Like my buddy's a full on technology scientist type guy. He's all like, I can't wait to get like robot implants. I can't wait to get a gene chip in the back of my head. And I'm like, no, you don't want that because it's gonna open up a whole other world of problems. He's like, technology is so awesome. I'm like, I agree. Technology has made a benefit. But technology also, he's like, it solves problems. I'm like, but technology created those problems in the first place. Oh, Facebook is down. I can't put up a post. And then the internet or whoever
End of the
fixes it.
world,
Well, there wouldn't have been a problem in the first place if Facebook wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's obviously going to be its limits and then there's going to be its benefits to it. But when it all comes and says and done, I think it's going to branch our society into like two different things. Like, there's going to be people that, like me, that still want to travel by car and not use a teleporter. There's going to be people, it's going to
on
either,
the freaking teleporter,
yeah, it's gonna use like Justin Timberlake, dude, where he freaking in that movie had the barcode that had the years of his life on his arm, and
you
he's
could
paying
sell or
for
buy you,
everything. Like
right?
that's what we're gonna end. That's what we're talking about here. See, when we start letting technology in, like, oh, it's gonna, it's cool. Somebody loses a limb. It's a tragic incident, and they get a replacement with like a robotic prosthetic or something.
Right.
But then how many people are going to go to the point where like, I'd rather have my arm chopped off so I can get a robot arm. It's like, but you have your regular arm though. Yeah, but I'd
Right.
rather
Why would
chop
you
it
swap
off
them?
to be able to have one robotic one. It's like,
People would rather be cyborgs.
yeah, how far do you want to go with it?
That's like the movie Alita: Battle Angel with all those cybernetic people who,
We're living in a false world, damn it.
it's I try to be optimistic about it. We're to the point where we're probably past the point of no return for like transcendence and stuff. And once computers do transcend, it'll be too late. Like we can't reverse it. And I do feel that we're past that point because Google, Amazon, all these other companies, there are probably, I think there's 8 quantum computers right now, which are insane if you've never seen those. Those are, they literally have to keep them in a freezer so that it doesn't overheat and melt. Like
It seems
it's processing that fast.
it seems like humanity's downfall would be itself. It seems like either we're gonna be doing too much, like the Earth's gonna end up shutting down or something, or we're
At
gonna
the
get.
rate we're going to die off quicker than any other sapien.
I feel like we're also either gonna create something that's gonna be smarter than us and realize that we're the problem. Because it seems
Transcendence,
like a lot of us are stuck in the past and a lot of us are way too into the future. It seems like we can't find a middle ground anywhere.
right? Well, so you just gotta live your life happy and ignorant, right? Like,
Is that the overall quest for life?
right? Just
Just
just be happy. That's all it is.
happy and ignorant?
And I wouldn't say ignorant. Like, keep yourself well aware of things, but like, there's no point in dwelling on like the robots are gonna kill us all. Like, oh, we're all fucked. Like, who cares? Like, if they kill us all, when that comes, then I can be sad. But right now, they're not killing me, so I might as well just try to live my life to the best. Oh, Facebook is down. All right, I'll just go to another platform. Or there's so many different social medias. Why is that a big deal? Oh, my grandma's not gonna be able to see my cat picture. It doesn't matter. Grandma's just looking at memes anyway.
Yeah, they
Have you
do that too.
have you sat down in a room with like a bunch of 70, 80-year-old women who are on their Facebook? All they do is read off like funny Facebook quotes to each other.
That's
Or
my grandma poked me on Facebook and I don't even know how to do that. I was like, I'm not even on Facebook that much. She's like, why won't you poke me back? I'm like, cause you shouldn't even have the tablet. Like, why? Why are you doing this? She's like, well, I'm retired. I don't have anything. This is what I do all day. Is just sit on my tablet. I get to learn it. I'm like, man, she just keeps on sending me those calendar invites. I'm like, to what? Send me a
you you
text.
you think that people would pick up after like the first 5 times you denied their calendar invite?
The real best thing in society is when our grandparents figure out Snapchat.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And well, you know what's funny about that? I've noticed this about a lot of things, but like, um, Facebook was for young kids, and then people became teenagers and adults, and then like older people were like, all right, let's give it a try. And now it's where all the old people are. But now like Instagram is becoming that. And
It's a new trend every single time. You got to stay on top. I don't even know what the new trend is.
TikTok. TikTok is the new trend.
No, TikTok is for mentally unstable people. I'm sorry. I've been on there a couple of times. Actually, one of my favorite podcasts called Your Mom's House podcast with Tom Segura and Christina Pazitsky. They have a bunch of really bad TikTok videos where they basically like these people are mentally insane.
Yeah, I've seen a couple profiles where it's just like every video is just like the rambling of a crazy person, and they're only famous because like two or three of them made sense without context.
I think I know what my overall quest is going to be.
What is it?
It's going to be to bring up the trend no cell phone.
No cell phone.
I
And
try
a lot of
I
celebrities are doing it.
I try and do that on my everyday life. I leave it in my car when I go to the store. I basically rarely on my phone except maybe to message people about doing the podcast or something,
Mhm.
but that's about it. Like my friends text me like a lot of the times they just show up at my house, open up the door like, "Dude, can you just answer your phone?" Then they leave and go right back into their car and drive off. I'm like, What'd you want to say? Like I don't feel like talking."
Um, you know what's funny is I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and like it's funny to me like you can go from one town to another, and in the previous town they remember your face. They're like, "Oh, that motherfucker killed 10 cops and got away, and now he's got a big ass bounty." You go to the next town, they literally don't even know who you are because they don't have social media. They don't have the ability to share your face everywhere.
Back in the day, you sent a fucking letter. A dude had to travel on horseback to deliver that letter. So
Right.
let's say somebody sends a letter, your grandmother has passed and the funeral's in 2 weeks. Next thing you know, you don't ever get that letter. You're still sending out fucking messages to grandma, not even realizing she's long gone, fucking died 6 months ago in the tragic winter of 1912.
And some dirtbag finds those letters, takes advantage of it, and sends you letters pretending they're grandma, and all of a sudden you're sending grandma 5, 10, 20, $100 a week, and now
Somebody did that to my great-grandfather.
just
They used my dad's identity,
see.
called my great-grandfather at, like, the time this is, like, when flip phones were a thing, and he's my great-grandfather, he's 94, so he's not doesn't know anything about a cell phone. So he just has it so it rings, and he's like, "What the fuck's that ringing?" What I'm like, it's your phone, dude." And he's like, "Well, I don't know anybody." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm the only other person in your phone, so it might just be a collect call or something." And he gets a call, and some dude was impersonating my dad and was like, "Hey," and gave my dad's name. Was like, "I'm in prison. You need to send me $4,000 or whatever,
Oh my
or
goodness.
jail or something. You need to send me $4,000 to pay my bail." He sent the $4,000.
Oh my God.
We don't know what happened. Cops are like, "Yep, it just sucks. They take advantage of the elderly." I'm like, "Well, what the hell?"
It was probably the cops. It's an inside job.
Oh, dude, that would suck, man.
um,
You know how many Xboxes I could have bought with $4,000? I was like 12 when that happened. That could have been my world.
that could have been great. But now it was somebody else's great. That was such a good payday, and the reason why they do it is because it works. Like they just got to hit up 1,000 old people within a month, and you get one old person to fall for it. You just made $4,000 in 1 month.
Just sell hard candy through the phone.
Sell hard candy. Those little watermelon candies with the wrapper that only old people know how to obtain them.
My grandmom used to have a bunch of those in the house when we used to come over. There used to be lemon heads and all these other things in there. And we haven't been over there in like a long time. So now when we come over, it's only for like an hour or so. So we don't stay the night like we used to. She still has them in there. I'm like, they're so stuck together. Like from when I was 10 to where I'm in my 20s now, I went over there. I'm looking, I'm like, I open up the thing and I'm like, I wonder what happens if you grab one of these lemon heads. It's all stuck. Like, I mean, I
It's
don't even know how to explain. I'm like,
they like melted together or
she's like,
something.
"Do you wanna try one?" I'm like, "No, this thing would give me colon cancer if I tried. You wanna talk about a messed up flavor profile? Good God."
One of my old jobs, back to old people and cell phones. One of my old jobs, I worked at a plasma donation facility.
Holy
Have
shit.
you? And so people come in, they get hooked up to a plasma donation machine. Machine takes their blood, separates the plasma, gives them their blood back, and it takes about an hour. And because of technology and stuff, I actually saw pictures of how it used to be in plasma donation facilities. People would like have magazines or have newspapers and stuff to keep themselves entertained. But now everybody has a freaking cell phone. So most people are on their cell phones. And the people who are the worst about being on their cell phones are old people. They completely zone out of everything and they just are into their phone.
Because they haven't
And
had something like this before. This is something that
none of
they've
us
never.
have. None of
Yeah,
us have.
but
We
we're
grew
more.
up with it, but
Yeah,
we
that's
didn't
the
have
thing.
it.
They didn't have that, and they're discovering at an age now where it's so many complicated things going on that they're like they can't focus
They
in on
can't
all of it.
comprehend it, right?
Yeah. And for us, we've
I
just
get
been
that.
surrounded by it since we were young. So it's like we're so already used to it. We're like blended in with it. They're just now like, I got the iPhone. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, I can get apps. I'm like, yeah. They're
Good
like,
job, Grandma.
I remember when the phones first started having apps. And then I remember when I was learning that. And I was like, well, I got this app. I could play this now. Now I have like 80 of them and I only use like one.
Yeah. I jump back and forth from apps, but like I've downloaded so many apps that I've just almost immediately uninstalled because there's so much garbage out there, like mixed in with the riffraff.
They literally have an app that'll tell you what apps to uninstall. I'm like, how about this one? Now,
That's ironic if it would pop up.
with plasma though, like what do you mean by plasma? What exactly is that? Is that like
Plasma is the stuff between your blood cells that help like your blood travel throughout your body. And it holds like a lot of like the things that help with like your immune system and stuff like that. So some people's bodies don't naturally produce plasma, or if you're in a car accident, if you have like a concussion or something, you need that extra plasma to prevent your blood from clotting in your brain and creating like an aneurysm or whatever.
so do a lot of people like is that like a blood transfusion? Like is it a difficult process to get plasma out of your body or have it
No,
transferred?
no, it's not at all. So all they do is they take the blood from your body, they mix it with an anticoagulant so it doesn't solidify and become unusable. They put it in a device that spins really fast, and because blood cells, plasma is like 90% water or something like that, and because blood cells weigh more, they actually get pushed to the outside and the plasma is separated. And so they'll keep the blood in a what's called a reservoir, and they'll put the plasma in a bag. And then when the reservoir fills up to the point where it's like, okay, this is dangerously close to being like, this is, we don't want this to clot, so we're going to return it to you as quickly as possible. And so once it's back in your body, the blood is able to recognize, okay, I'm in my human, and doesn't clot because your body naturally monitors that because humans are freaking insane.
I
But
just realized with all this technology talk that we're talking about and now this, I'm like, this is what's going to happen. Where people are going to transcend into like going into an artificial AI and their body's going to be left behind. And the government's like, well, we're just going to hang it right here. And they're going to place it in a chamber and it's just going to slowly hook you up like a blood bag and just use
hmm,
you to power their machines.
well, it's not going to be used to power their machines. It's going to be used to keep their old rich people young and healthy.
Oh my God, it's that movie with what's his name? Ryan Reynolds.
Which movie?
The one where the dude transports into Ryan Reynolds' body. He was supposed to be a dead guy, and he starts getting his memory, and his brain starts fusing together with his
I
memories
don't
and
know
stuff.
about that.
The
I
dude
need to
was
see
so
this.
rich and was dying, and he wanted to like transport his consciousness into the other young person's body. It was
I don't doubt that once they get the ability to transcend your consciousness into a computer, that rich people will be like, yeah, we'll pay you $1 million for your body because they'll just put you on a computer. You're stuck in the computer. They can do whatever they want with your body. Oh yeah, I'll take this guy. Like, and the attractive and fit people are going to be worth a lot more.
man. What's the overall quest of humanity then?
I don't know because we don't. It's uncharted territory. We don't know what it's going to be like to be inside of a computer.
It's too much information, too little time, and too much information coming at
See,
us at
but an
once.
AI might be like, not enough information. Give me more information. Like that's how computers work. Versus our brain is like, oh, I only want this much at a time, and I'm going to rely on my physical memory over my actual intellectual memory
Look, mankind's on a quest for technology, and I'm just gonna chill back and drink my cream soda.
and be happy. That is
Exactly.
that is the goal.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much for doing the podcast, man. I really
Yeah, dude, it's been
appreciate you
great.
taking the time out of your day. And first of all, getting that weird invite that I sent you, sliding in the DMs, like, "Hey, would you like to be part of a podcast?" You're like, "What's this?" Can you just give me kind of like what you thought of when I sent you that message?
I was like, cool, I want to be on a podcast.
Were you, were you,
That
were,
was my first thought. Like, yes, I would gladly want to be on a
did
podcast.
you have like a weird thought? Like, is this guy like, what's he about? What's it about? Like, were you a little bit kind of freaked out? Like, a lot of
Nope.
people feel like it's going to be like an attack. A lot of people feel like
I
it's just going to be
love talking to people. So
right on, dude. Well, I appreciate you doing it, man. It's kind of like same thing with me. I love talking to people.
excellent.
I want to give you here a minute at the end to kind of promote your Instagram page too, man, and like your site.
So the Fantasy Quest Board is my Instagram. At the Fantasy Quest Board, I post on it daily. I post my stories, at least 10 stories about a day. I post more during the week than I do during the weekend. The weekend's kind of my time, but I still post on the weekend. I do have a Twitter at the Quest Board, and my personal Instagram is at Podcast Kevin, which is a steal for me because eventually when I get back on a podcast, I feel like that'll be a great thing.
Got to get that on Twitter. Nobody can claim it first.
Yes, I think my Twitter handle is the podcast Kevin.
Yeah, oh, someone else got the other one.
Somebody had it, but I stole their Instagram.
I'm telling you, it's probably some dude that only posts like once every like couple of
Well,
years.
that's
Too.
like me. I don't even have a currently going podcast.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin, for being on this episode of Out of the Blank, and stay tuned for our next episode.